Friends, Brian here for Yes You Can Play Guitar. And as we know, Kate Bush is hot again because of the appearance of her song Running Up That Hill on Stranger Things. I have not seen this TV show. I've heard about it for years. But I have, again, as always, a great pleasure to have the Solitary Adventurer here. We know that Kate Bush did have some history with Prince. And of course, he is my go-to guy to talk about all things Prince, which we like to do a lot of here on the channel. I remember as a kid, I had an older brother who loved Kate Bush, and I remember the song. The video was a little bit unusual. I remember he had the record with the picture of her with the bow and arrow on the back. I'm guessing, to me, I think we're probably going to be looking at between 83 and 85 that song came out. But anyway, my good friend, as always, the Solitary Adventurer. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
All right. Now, may we ask where your travels have brought you today?
I've finished traveling for a while now, so I'm based in the northwest of England in Liverpool.
Okay, Liverpool, yes.
My hometown. Yeah.
Now, was it all by hitchhiking, or how did you do
that? The car just about made it home after I'd driven it around the country.
Nice. Yeah. So, we have a lot of great discussions off our videos. We talk about a lot of different things, but one of the things that we do like to talk about too, movies and TV shows. You've given me some very good suggestions. I'm very picky about TV shows. Mindhunter was a great suggestion. I loved it. I binge watched it. But this TV show, Stranger Things, it's been on. I know Metallica made an appearance or something on it, and that's been in a lot of the chatter, heavy metal, whatever online.
Interwebs.
Exactly. Too much caffeine today. But I want to talk today about the whole Kate Bush thing. As Kate Bush, her song was on it. I know Rick Beato made a great video on that. He did quite the intensive breakdown on that. I just want to get your thoughts first and foremost on Stranger Things. Have you watched the show?
I have. I haven't watched any of this season. Purely because they've held back the last 2 episodes from streaming. So as soon as they release those 2, I'm going to binge the entire thing. I watch so many shows, it really gets on my nerves when we have these breaks, these sort of hiatus. So I'm trying to limit what I watch so that I don't have to put up with the hiatuses.
Mm-hmm. So I did hear about Kate Bush running up that hill, I guess was on it.
Yeah.
As I said, again, Rick Beato, many of us who have music channels, we love Rick Beato's channel. He does a great breakdown of the song, which classic songs, sometimes I'm like, oh no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know the chords or the scales. I just want to enjoy the song. Again, I always liken it to a mechanic looking under the hood of a legendary vehicle. But running up that hill, it's I guess ultimately it's a song about, if only a man and a woman could kind of trade places to get each other's perspective on things.
Yeah.
But we also know that Kate Bush and Prince had a little bit of history, and I was hoping we could talk a little bit about that. Where did that all start?
Yeah. So, we know Prince was a fan and a champion of women, and he was a big Joni Mitchell fan as a kid. He was also a big Kate Bush fan. And one of the stories that comes straight to mind was Susan Rogers would talk about him playing Running Up That Hill in the warehouse, which at the time they called Paisley Park, but it wasn't the Paisley Park that was built a couple of years later. He would put that song on sort of repeat, at the top volume all around the warehouse, and he loved that song. Now, in about 92, I think it was, he had an engineer called Michael Koppelman, and he was a Kate Bush fan. There's a little bit of intrigue around this, and you can go and read about it on prince.org and those sites. But the engineer basically let slip that he was a big Kate Bush fan, and Prince used his star to actually work with her. Okay. So he put the feelers out, and Kate Bush sent him a song called Why Should I Love You, which, is a really lovely song when it's done solely by her, but it's very sort of standard sort of Kate Bush, where it's not a typical pop song. So You know, it's a little bit of spoken word. She sings. There's, you know, that ethereal way that she has. So Prince takes the song and kind of pop rocks it. So big guitar solo, you know,
Yeah.
does the backing vocals, basically reconstructs the song, sends it back to her. Now, Kate uses it on her 1993 album, Red Shoe Diaries, is it? That album. So clearly she liked it enough to use it. But the engineer that was working with Prince, he seems to have a bit of a craw about it and a bee in his bonnet, and
Okay.
doesn't speak well of Prince and that whole episode, and claims that he destroyed a great song. Now, for all of us now, 20 years on, go on YouTube, you can just listen to both versions. And I think what Prince did is not the sacrilege that the engineer made out. I think it's one of the better songs from that early 90s period that Prince recorded. Certainly one of his better collaborations, because just a few years later, Prince uses Kate's backing vocals on a song called My Computer, which is on the Emancipation album. And if you just listen to that song on speakers, I would argue you can't really hear Kate Bush on the backing vocals.
Okay.
You really have to put headphones on, and then you can hear quite clearly that Kate is in on the vocal mix. But again, she's not high. It's not a duet by any stretch. It's, you know, guest backing vocals, basically uncredited. So there is a lot of history back and forth, and I think he saw something in her that reminded him of himself. I would imagine, you know, this sort of unafraid. We're doing it in the mainstream, but we're carving a path that nobody else carves.
Okay.
And I can understand why he was a fan of hers.
And her career was a little, again, guys, I remember loving that song and loving that album with Kate Bush, but her career kind of, there's something odd that happened with her. Like she wasn't, I think, she wasn't really into performing live, or was it?
So I'm led to believe. I mean, she's come back into the public eye, rightly so, because of Stranger Things. So she's done a tiny bit of press in this country, a couple of one phone-in interview that I heard in full, and basically she just said that she didn't really like performing live, and therefore didn't do it. You know, financially she didn't have to. She made one comeback, 2011, 2012, where she did a string of concerts at Hammersmith Apollo.
I remember
London.
that. Yep.
And her justification at the time was, I just want to do it before I'm too old to do it again. So, you know, we're a good 10 years on from that now, and she's had this resurgence, which the song absolutely deserves, because the song sounds like it could have been released yesterday. I mean, still a phenomenal, absolutely brilliant crafted pop song.
Well, I think it was a great. I just remember, I don't know, that song just really struck a chord with me. And when I heard about it, again, I don't watch the show. I did see Rick's video, but that song I love that song.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, pre-teenager, I loved that song. And it was a classic song. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes and talk with you about her connection with Prince. And that's great. Again, it's a shorter video than normal, folks, but I just wanted to get the Solitary Adventures input on her history with Prince. Remember, practice hard, but practice smart, and we'll see you soon.